Whatever you do, avoid being lost on Highway 13. Many are aware of the unfortunate nature of the number 13. Since I had never had any bad luck associated with the number 13, I didn't think the superstition about it was true. That was prior to my being lost on Highway 13. I was traveling along the road at a late hour of the night. Throughout the ride, I had not seen another automobile on the road, which made me realize how lonely it seemed. Since I was going someplace close by, I must confess that I got a little lost. There was something unsettling about the road's thick woodlands on both sides. I drove quite carefully, partially because I had no idea where I was and partly because I was afraid an animal may instantly leap in front of my headlights. My automobile suddenly had weird behavior. I pulled over to the side of the road, concerned that something was amiss when my headlights started to blink on and off. I parked, turned off the engine, got out, and looked over the headlights and engine. Remarkably, nothing seemed amiss, so I went back in and turned it on. It would then fail to start. I made many attempts, but the vehicle would not start each time. Naturally, when I wanted it to, my steering wheel wouldn't operate, so I rested my head against it inside. I remained there for a few minutes until a wave of fear overcame me. Looking up, my hair stood on end. I could see a whitish person a few feet in front of my car, but I could hardly see anything in front of me. It just stood there, without moving. The air got cooler and I felt chills all over my body. I hastily went into my center console to get a flashlight, but the person had vanished by the time I switched it on. I hurriedly blinked a few times before deciding it had to be all in my head. After putting down the torch, I picked up my phone to call 911. No service on the first call. I tried calling again without success. Eventually, after one last try, my call was answered. "Tell us about your emergency. This is 911. On the other end," a guy responded. I answered quickly, "Yeah, hello. My car broke down on Highway 13. All right, can you tell where you are on the road?" "No, I was hearing static." Could you confirm that static took over the voice?" "How in the hell?" Before I could even organize my thoughts, a fresh voice erupted from my phone. "Though can you see me?" "As I can see you." I instantly hung up the phone when I heard disembodied laughing. The deep, high-pitched voice seemed like it was coming from many persons at once. My phone immediately showed no service and stopped the conversation. I picked up my flashlight again and shone it through my windows. Even though I couldn't see anything, I was still getting shivers. Even back then, when I didn't believe in the paranormal, I was still attempting to come up with a plausible explanation for everything, taking advantage of my anxiety. I exited my car with my flashlight. I looked all around my vehicle for anything to help me understand what had occurred. I heard a sharp crack as I approached the side of the road to shine the light into the trees. I jumped, but there was nothing to see. "It's all right. It's okay." I inhaled deeply. It was probably an animal. A child's cries could be heard as I moved closer to the woods. "Hi there. Are things going well for you? Keep making noises because I'm going to come get you," I yelled. My instincts told me not to go into the woods, but I did. The voice was so unavoidable. It may have been a real youngster who got lost in the woods. After some while, I saw a little person in a small clearing in the woods. I realized the figure had to be the kid since the wailing was louder here. It was crouched on the ground. Facing away from me, I approached the youngster and said, "Hey, it's okay. I'll help you out of here." After the child's wailing stopped, I went to put my hand on its shoulder. I could feel the child's chill. "How are you doing?" That was the one time things turned around. It sprang at me, its visage changing into something evil. I recoiled in terror and stepped back from it. I got up fast, but I couldn't find anything anywhere. I hurried back to my vehicle as quickly as I could, hoping nothing further would happen. I was unable to provide any rationale or reasoning for what I witnessed. I eventually made it to my vehicle after a harrowing dash, and I got inside before I locked my doors. My automobile refused to start when I attempted to turn it on. I yelled, "Come on, come on, come on," and then I punched the steering wheel. The automobile started, as if by magic, but there was a serious problem. I was unable to shift gears, as my vehicle began to roll down the road and the gearbox began to shift on its own. A pit formed in my stomach. I attempted to unlock my door, but it refused. I tried opening my rear doors and my passenger door, but I was stuck. The radio switched on, producing static. Again, the disembodied chuckle came over the radio. I shouted because I could stand it no longer. From me. What do you want? What is it that I desire? I want your existence. The automobile started up and it reacted. I scurried back to the driver's seat and tightened my seatbelt, even when I stomped on the brakes. They remained in place. I started crying because I knew this was how I was going to pass away. My high beams flashed on, and I saw a bridge up ahead. My stomach dropped to my chest. I struggled more, trying to open my door, roll my windows down, or stop the car, but nothing worked. Static laughing continued to play on the radio. I prayed and prayed for something to save me. I looked back up, and a white wolf now stood in the middle of the road. The car slowed as the radio cut off. I slammed on the brakes, and they worked. My car stopped a few feet in front of the white wolf, which stood motionless. I cried from both fear and relief. I could hear sirens in the distance and knew that the police were on their way. The white wolf disappeared before my eyes, leaving me in shock. It wasn't long after that the police arrived and asked me what happened. I tried to retell what I experienced as best as I could, but I couldn't help getting choked up with sobs as I explained what happened, despite no physical injuries. They insisted on taking me to the hospital to get checked over. But what about my car? I asked. We will have one of the officers drive it to the hospital. You are too shaken up to drive right now, the officer explained. I agreed and got in his car. Just as he went to leave, I felt the instinct to look to the wood's edge, and there stood that white wolf, watching me. I'm not sure what happened that night, but I am positive that something paranormal tried to unalive me. I also believe that the white wolf I saw is a guardian or protector of some kind that saved me, that answered my prayers and saved me from that demonic creature. While I didn't believe in the paranormal before, I strongly believe in it now. Some words of advice for everyone. Don't get stranded on Highway 13, or you might see for yourself why the number 13 is feared.